You know what nobody tells you about divorce? Your ex-wife is about to walk straight into a psychological minefield she's been pretending doesn't exist. And I'm not talking about some fairy tale karma where she realizes what she lost and comes crawling back. What's coming is quieter, colder, and far more brutal. It's what happens when someone trades stability for a fantasy and has to watch that fantasy fall apart piece by piece. Picture this. Millions of men sitting alone in small apartments, phone screens glowing in the dark. They scroll through their ex's posts, smiling selfies, captions about new beginnings, quotes about self-love. It looks like she's winning. It looks like she's happy. But what you're seeing is a performance. Behind the filters and the borrowed confidence, she's standing on a psychological cliff edge, because when a woman leaves a long marriage, she isn't just walking away from a man. She's walking away from the entire mental world built around him. She doesn't realize it yet, but for years, her brain used you as a reference point for everything. What time to wake up, how to spend her weekends, what she believed about herself. Even when she complained about you, you were still the center of her orbit. And now, she's drifting through space, telling herself that being weightless is the same as being free. That's where phase 1 starts, the honeymoon with herself. It's the same pattern almost every time. For a few weeks, maybe a couple of months, she's high on her own decision. Every morning she wakes up thinking she's bold, independent, unstoppable. She changes the furniture, joins a yoga class, maybe downloads a dating app just to see what's out there. Her friends flood her with validation. You look amazing. You're glowing. You deserve better. And she believes every word. During this phase, she's not living in reality. She's living in a story she's selling herself about reality. In that story, she's the woman who escaped mediocrity. Every new experience feels like proof that she made the right choice. Her phone is full of notifications. Men are giving her attention she hasn't felt in years, and she mistakes that attention for value. It's not value, it's novelty. But novelty feels good, so she clings to it. Psychologists have a term for this, cognitive euphoria. It's the mental high people get after making a big emotional decision. It's powerful, but it doesn't last. Eventually, the chemical rush fades. And what's left is a quieter kind of noise, the kind that starts in the back of the mind and won't shut up. She'll post motivational quotes about independence. She'll talk about choosing herself. But inside, she's checking her phone more often, staying up later, feeling that strange emptiness after the dopamine hits wear off. The illusion of control starts to crack, and that's when the silence starts to feel heavier. You see, this first phase is all about pretending the old world didn't matter, pretending you didn't matter. But the truth is, she built her identity around the relationship, and ripping that foundation out doesn't leave her liberated, it leaves her exposed. She won't admit that, not yet. Instead, she'll double down on the image. She'll fill her calendar, chase distraction, and tell herself this is what happiness feels like. But deep down, something's already shifting. The excitement doesn't hit the same. The compliments don't land like they used to. And late at night, when the phone stops buzzing, the question creeps in. Is this really better? Or did I just blow up my life for a feeling that's already fading? That's the turning point, because every illusion runs out of fuel eventually. And when this one does, the crash is slow, quiet, and impossible to stop. Then comes phase 2, the awakening, though it feels more like a slow-motion car crash. The second phase is where the story she's been telling herself starts to break. I call it the awakening, but it doesn't come all at once. It creeps in. It usually starts on her first real date since the divorce. The guy looks good on paper, confident, successful, says the right things. They meet for dinner, maybe drinks. She laughs, flirts, feels wanted again. Then the night ends and he makes his move. And that's when it hits her. This man doesn't know her. He doesn't care that she checks the locks 3 times before bed, or that she can't stand thunderstorms, or that she cries during that one commercial with the dogs. To him, she's just another Friday night, and that realization lands like a punch to the gut. But instead of facing it, she doubles down. She tells herself it's fine, she just needs to keep meeting people, keep putting herself out there. More apps, more matches, more conversations. But the pattern is already there. The same shallow talk, the same recycled lines, the same kind of men, the ones who say all the right things because they've said them to 20 women before her. After a while, the attention starts to lose its shine. The compliments feel forced, the excitement feels empty, and the more she searches for something real, the more she realizes how transactional it all is. That's when she starts noticing things she didn't before. The way these men talk about their exes, how quickly they try to move things physical, how often they flake without explanation. And little by little, she starts comparing them to you. Not consciously, she'd never admit that out loud, but her brain does it automatically. The human mind runs on patterns, and yours is still burned into hers. That guy who seems so charming, he cuts her off mid-sentence. The one with the big career, he's emotionally unavailable. The fun, spontaneous one, turns out he's just unreliable. Piece by piece, the comparison builds a picture she doesn't want to see. You start to look better, not because you were perfect, but because you were real. You were consistent, you were known. And known to the human mind means safe. That's when phase 3 begins, the panic. It usually sets in around 6 to 8 months after the split. The novelty is gone. Her friends are tired of hearing about her dating adventures. The kids, if you have them, are acting out because their world's been flipped upside down. The freedom she used to brag about starts to feel more like emptiness, and the performance becomes exhausting. Every living my best life post takes effort now. Every smile feels heavier. She's still playing the role of the independent woman who made the right choice, but deep down, she doesn't believe her own script anymore. She's an actress stuck in a role that no longer fits. Some women react by speeding up, more dates, more drinks, more distractions. Others slow down, shutting themselves in, scrolling through old photos, replaying memories they swore they were done with. But both groups share the same problem. They can't sit still because sitting still means facing the truth. And that truth is simple. The life they thought they wanted doesn't feel the way they imagined it would. Here's where psychology comes in. When the story someone tells themselves collides with reality, the brain scrambles to protect the ego. It starts rewriting history. Suddenly, the marriage that was so miserable doesn't seem that bad. The man she said never understood her starts looking like the only person who actually did. But she can't admit it, not to herself, not to her friends, not after all the months spent defending the decision. So instead, she creates a new version of the story. Maybe you've changed, maybe you've grown, maybe it could work now. It's a defense mechanism, a way to consider reconciliation without admitting she made a mistake. Because admitting that would shatter everything she's built her post-divorce identity on. Meanwhile, the dating world she thought would be full of possibilities starts revealing its real face. And this is where the fantasy finally meets the facts. Because what she's about to discover isn't romantic, it's mathematical. And this is where reality hits, not in her heart, but in the marketplace she thought she could conquer. This is where things get real, because the fantasy she built after the divorce is about to collide head-on with how the world actually works. When a woman enters the dating market in her mid-30s or 40s, especially with kids, she quickly finds out it's nothing like the movies. The men showing interest usually fall into the same few types. Players who want a quick fix, married men sneaking around, emotionally stunted guys who can't commit, and the occasional decent man who already has more options than he can handle. The math is ugly, and she starts to feel it. Those hundreds of matches on dating apps, they mean nothing. The compliments? Copied and pasted to every woman in the feed. What she thought was demand turns out to be noise. That's when she hits phase 4, the reckoning. Around the 1-year mark, the psychological mask finally cracks. The noise dies down. The nights get longer. The loneliness becomes real, not poetic. This isn't the kind of loneliness you fix with company. It's the kind that makes you question your entire story. She'll have that moment, sitting on the couch, maybe scrolling through old photos, maybe after another date that went nowhere, when it all lands at once. The magnitude of what she's done, the permanence of it, the realization that she traded a flawed but real relationship for something that doesn't exist. The mind can't process that easily. Some women break down, some shut off, some go numb just to survive it. And that's when the messages start. You know the ones, the late night texts that show up between 11 p.m. and 2 a.m. Hey, how are you? Or, remember that trip we took? Sometimes they're angry, sometimes sad, sometimes nostalgic, but they all mean the same thing. I thought I was escaping pain. I just found a different kind of it. Meanwhile, her body is reacting too. Chronic stress, poor sleep, loss of appetite, or overeating. It's not drama, it's biology. The brain hates contradictions, and she's living one. I made the right decision, but I'm miserable. Holding those two thoughts at once is emotional torture. There's even a pattern therapists call Sunday night syndrome. Divorcees report that Sunday evenings hit hardest. The weekend distractions fade, the kids go to bed, and the silence feels like punishment. That's when the mask slips. That's when she realizes she's not free. She's just alone. And here's the brutal symmetry of it. Right when she's reaching her lowest point, you're probably starting to rebuild. Men tend to process quietly. We internalize, reflect, act. You've gone through your own hell, the shock, the anger, the grief. But men adapt by doing. They get back in shape, focus on work, find structure. You're not the same man she left. You're stronger, more grounded. Now imagine how that feels for her. She's unraveling while you're improving. She sees the version of you she always said she wanted, but you became that man without her. That realization burns, because now she knows it wasn't that you couldn't be that man. It's that she didn't have the patience or vision to see it. This is what psychologists call cognitive dissonance collapse. Her brain can no longer keep the fantasy alive. She can't keep pretending she won, so it redirects the pain outward, blaming you, blaming men, blaming the world, anything to avoid looking in the mirror. But life keeps reminding her anyway. Her social circle starts shrinking. The same friends who cheered her on at the beginning start fading out. The married ones quietly distance themselves. She's a reminder that things fall apart. The single ones become competition. The brunches and group chats get shorter, then disappear. She's out of the loop. And that isolation cuts deeper than any breakup. Because beneath all the slogans about empowerment, she's realizing something she never thought she'd say. You weren't just her husband. You were her best friend, her backup plan, her emergency contact, her safety net. Without you, everything else feels temporary. But the hardest part hasn't even hit yet, because there's still one more psychological stage waiting, the one that doesn't just change how she sees you, but how she sees herself. The universe isn't done teaching her lessons yet, because reality doesn't just wound, it recalculates. By this stage, the story she built to protect herself is gone. What's left is the quiet aftermath, the slow, daily realization that the life she imagined after leaving isn't what she thought it would be. It's smaller, lonelier, and harder than she ever expected. When you've been married for years, your identity fuses with the relationship. Every routine, every plan, every we moment shapes how you see yourself. When she left, she didn't just lose you. She lost the version of herself that existed within that shared world. And now, she's waking up in a life that feels foreign. Which side of the bed to sleep on? What to watch alone? Who to call when the car breaks down? These sound like small things, but they add up. 1,000 small reminders that she's navigating life without a co-pilot. And she fired him. The next shock is financial. Divorce cuts income, doubles expenses, and exposes how much stability was really built on partnership. The dual income, the shared rent, the small comforts, gone. Now she's trying to maintain the same standard of living on half the resources, and independence without resources isn't freedom. It's survival dressed up with nice words. Then comes the part almost nobody talks about, the touch deficit. Not sex, just human touch. The simple things, a hand on the back, a hug when she's upset, the casual contact that tells the body it's safe. Weeks, sometimes months go by without any of it. Her body starts to rebel. Stress hormones rise, sleep quality drops, her immune system weakens. The body keeps score, and it's marking every day she spends without connection. The dating apps make it worse. At first, they gave her validation. Now, they're a mirror she can't look away from. She's competing with women 10 years younger who don't have stretch marks, kids, or emotional baggage. The algorithms tease her. Lots of matches at first, then less, then almost none. The dopamine hits fade. The messages get shorter, the compliments feel cheap. She realizes she's invisible in a system that only rewards youth and availability. Two currencies she no longer has. Some women try to fight back. They get makeovers, join gyms, reinvent themselves. It's not growth, it's panic. It's trying to remodel the house while the foundation is sinking. Others retreat completely, staying off apps, isolating, pretending they're focusing on themselves. But it's not self-love, it's self-preservation. And then the final stage sets in, regret without redemption. She knows what she lost, she knows it was her choice, and she knows she can't undo it. That's the worst part. Awareness without a way out. Every happy couple she sees stings. Every family gathering reminds her of what used to be normal. Every anniversary that passes is a reminder of a story that didn't have to end. The cruel twist? Around this same time, she sees you again. Maybe on social media, maybe through mutual friends. Maybe the kids mention your new girlfriend. You look happier, calmer, lighter. That moment hits her harder than anything else because your happiness proves something she never wanted to face. The problem wasn't you. It was her perception of you. You were capable of love, capable of growth, capable of being wanted, just not by her. That realization cuts deep, because now she has to live with the truth that she didn't leave a bad man. She left a man she convinced herself was bad so she could feel justified in leaving. And when she sees you building a better life with someone else, she's forced to confront what she traded for her illusion of freedom. In psychology, this is called the collapse of the self-narrative. The story she built to make sense of the world doesn't match the evidence anymore. She told herself she was escaping confinement. In reality, she ran from discomfort and landed in emptiness. She told herself she wanted excitement. What she found was chaos. She wanted to feel desired. Now she feels disposable. She wanted better. She got different, and different isn't always better. Years later, most women in this position reach the same quiet conclusion. They didn't leave because their husbands weren't enough. They left because they thought they deserved more. But life doesn't hand out rewards for what you think you deserve. Reality doesn't care about your expectations. It only reflects your choices. And by the time that truth settles in, it's too late to fix it. The window has closed. The life she once had, the safety, the warmth, the meaning, is gone. And she has to live with that knowledge every single day. That's what really happens after divorce. Not the story she tells her friends, not the filtered version on social media, but the real one. The slow, grinding realization that she traded something real for something imaginary. And when the illusion fades, there's nothing left but silence.